So I just got back from checking out Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and it is my second favorite superhero movie of all time. Let's get to the review. Welcome back, film fans. It is Brad from Let's Be Real Brad, and today in the channel, I'm going to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is a direct sequel to 2018 Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is a movie that's been hyped up for a very long time, ever since the first movie being a big hit that it was, winning Best Animated Feature Film at the Oscars, and also that this movie was going to be a two-parter, which they eventually changed the title to Beyond the Spider-Verse. And I think that this movie really is going to capture everything that people want with the first movie, and it goes bigger, and in some ways it's even better than the first movie. This is one of the best superhero movies I have ever seen, and I do have to point out by saying that I am a big superhero fan. I love watching the Marvel films, but I'm not going to call myself a superhero nerd that only watches superhero things. I am a film critic at heart, and I have given a lot of superhero slash comic book movies not the highest ratings in the world because I am a film critic. I love film, and that's exactly why I love this movie, because this felt like a film. It didn't have the typical and formulaic, cliched superhero things that we have come to expect, and I really felt like I was in another universe while watching this, which is something I haven't felt in a really long time. This movie transported me into this universe. All of the characters that are all fictional and they're all animated feel so real to me, and I think it's because Columbia Pictures, Sony, and everyone who worked on this movie genuinely loves and cares about Spider-Man. And it's not just the references and the humor and all the great Spidey moments. This is about the characters and the well-written story. This movie is filled with so much love and passion and creativity and art, and sure, that goes hand in hand with its amazing and beautiful animation, but the writing with its characters and the emotional depth that this movie gets to, and it really shines through, especially with the newcomer character Spider-Man 2099 that is voiced by Oscar Isaac, who was excellent in this movie, as he is in every single movie that he's basically in, and I think he was the perfect choice for this. Speaking of voice performances, Shameik Moore is excellent as Miles Morales. Like, I almost can't see anyone else playing this character. He is so phenomenal at this character. You just forget that it is Shameik Moore playing him. I also love all the other voice actors in this movie, especially Daniel Kaluuya, who plays Spider-Punk, who was awesome. I thought he was great. Issa Rae was also great in this movie. She is very talented, and I think that her character was excellent, and everybody else in this movie is great as well. What makes these two movies so special to me is how these two movies are going to change the game of animation, and not exactly in terms of the presentation of the movie and the amazing animation, because it is truly a 10 out of 10. Like, the cinematography in this movie is just phenomenal. But what I'm talking about is how people view animated films. This one in particular does not feel like children were really ever mentioned in the making of this movie. This movie feels very mature, but it also respects its audience. They know kids are gonna go see this movie, but it feels like it's targeted toward everybody, because that's what animated movies are. Like, they're made by adults. Adults take kids to see the movies. Like, it's not a movie that's just targeted directly toward children. These movies wouldn't make that much money, and I just can't stand those comparisons of, well, it's just an animated movie, you know, you can't really criticize it. And another movie in this Spider-Verse trilogy just proves that this feels like a live action movie. There's a lot of shots and very heavy dialogue scenes that feel just like a live action movie, and the animation is very much utilized, especially in the action sequences with the characters flying through the sky and shooting webs and fighting people. But this movie in particular has a lot more dialogue heavy scenes, and I feel like the emotional weight is much stronger in this movie. And for some of the younger kids, they might not enjoy it as much because there's a lot less action. It's a little less stimulating, but that's not bad. It makes the movie feel more evolved from the first movie, but also that this movie is different. It's not trying to copy that first movie. It's not trying to formulate another superhero movie. This feels like it's very different. I also really enjoyed the fact that this movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I didn't feel the runtime until the very end, because this movie is so fast paced. It is so well written. You care about every single aspect to this movie that I was never bored for a single second. And this movie doesn't have to be overly crazy or have a ton of action sequences. This movie feels a lot more balanced in terms of the more dialogue heavy scenes and the action sequences. This movie respects the audience and knows that people are excited for this new movie and that everybody's going to come see this movie. And that's why I truly think that this is the second best superhero movie of all time. One of the aspects about this film that was improved from the first film was the soundtrack, as I wasn't a massive fan of the soundtrack, and not in terms of the songs, because I think they're really good and I think they fit within the movie, but it's how they were used in the movie. And I feel like there was a lot of scenes where the song was just placed on top of the scene, and it feels like it doesn't really blend in like a James Gunn or an Edgar Wright movie, and how those songs fit perfectly within those scenes. It just felt like it was in there because it sounded cool in post-production, and just didn't really work for me all that much. But in this movie, the songs work so much better. They blend in better. I think the songs themselves are better, in my personal opinion. I mean, that's hard from comparing the first Spider-Verse soundtrack. That's really, really great. This had an excellent soundtrack that was used perfectly. But also, what I've complained about the first one as well is that the score was utilized so much more in this movie, and it is excellent. It is a phenomenal score, and it just puts everything into such high emotion, but it never feels manipulative or trying to get emotion out of you. It enhances the movie so much that I was getting goosebumps every single time that Spider-Man 2099's theme came on. It just fits so perfectly with the character, and I just can't get it out of my head. As much as I have been going bananas about this movie, and I know everyone else has, I do have one main negative with this movie, and it involves the last 20 or so minutes of the movie. There's a certain point in the film that you feel like, man, this is going to be a great cliffhanger and it's going to lead right into the next movie. But then it just keeps going. Like, it doesn't stop, and you feel like you're already going to watch the next movie already. And the scenes themselves are amazing. They're great. But in terms of how the movie's presenting itself, and with its loud ambiance music that is kind of like its closing music to end the film, you feel like it's tying things together, but then it's already exploring other things, and there's a mini subplot that happens with a big twist, which I liked. But it feels like that should have been the start of the next movie, and I get it. You need to set up your next movie. You're trying to be this big franchise with the Spider-Verse films. I get it. But it just felt like it was too long. Overall, guys, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a phenomenal animated film that goes beyond the boundaries of just being an animated movie, as it is a medium for storytelling. This proves once again that you can have a movie like this and be so phenomenal and just feel like people actually care about making this film. It has some of the greatest animation I think I've ever seen, along with the first movie. The jokes in this movie are hilarious, has great pacing, and I just felt so much emotion. I cared so much about the story. It is one of the best Spider-Man stories I have ever seen, and my hype for the next one is beyond the roof, as I bet everyone else will. It's already one of the highest rated movies on Letterboxd. It has a 95% Rotten Tomatoes. People are going to eat this movie up, and you should as well. I am giving Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse a 9 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out this review. As I want to know below in the comment section, have you guys seen this movie? Where would you rank it in your Spider-Man movies ranked? I would love to hear about it. Before you guys check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, as you always should, and ring that notification bell so I can see you all in the following video.